For many years, the Silverstone circuit has been the home of British motor racing. Although it has had many layout changes in recent years, the former World War II Royal Air Force Bomber Station is still a widely recognized course known for its speed. However, thanks to the power of iRacing, the SRF Weekend Warriors have turned back the clock to 2008. Are you ready for a blast from the past? We're about to find out on the iRacing Esports Network and the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's coverage of the SRF Weekend Warrior, sponsored by SimStickers, for round 5 of the season, from the virtual historic version of the Silverstone circuit in Silverstone, England. I'm Justin Brent. Alongside the booth tonight is Ryan Walker. Joe Peak is in the director's seat, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Now, what's the best way around Silverstone? Let's take a look at a GSRC lap guide to find out.
Welcome to Silverstone. Most famously known for being the first circuit to host a round of Formula One, this place has since become synonymous with British motorsports. Hosting everything from sports cars to touring cars to open wheels and even motorcycles, it's a track that fits a wide variety of vehicles. With 5 different layouts to choose from, you've got a little something for any level of racing. The longest of those layouts boasts 17 turns over more than 3 miles or 5 kilometers, so it can take a bit to get around it, even in higher-powered machinery. Its main characteristics are the long straights, swift corners, and general lack of elevation change. Its most famous set of turns is definitely the Maggots-Beckett sequence, in which anything with high downforce finds itself challenged with the rapid changes of direction. While there is a fair bit of paved runoff in quick corners like Copse and Stowe, the time lost from going off can be costly. There's a few turns with opportunities for overtaking, including Vale, Abbey, and Priory, but in cars with less horsepower, expect the slipstream to be where many attempt to get by. The Hangar Straight is perhaps the most notorious for draft battles to erupt. All in all, this versatile racetrack located just northwest of London provides both history in its roots and action on the tarmac. The huge number of British fans that typically attend events are seldom left wanting.
Let's look at a GSRC lap guide for the best way around Silverstone circuit. Now let's bring in my co-announcer for today, Ryan Walker. And this circuit is the 2008 historic Grand Prix layout. Let's talk about this racetrack. Your thoughts, Ryan?
It's one of my favourite tracks in the iRacing service, and for me, I prefer it over the newer version of Silverstone that's been released just recently, or not so long ago. Today we'll be using the historic layout, the 2008 layout. It has 16 turns, is located in Towcester, Northamptonshire in the United Kingdom, and this fantastic track is 3.142 miles in length, or 5.057 kilometres if you prefer to use that. And yeah, passing today around this track is going to be difficult, but when you've got the long straights as well, you could possibly get a slipstream on someone to make a move.
Yeah, lots of opportunities potentially for slipstream, especially with these race cars. You see many of them already in the midst of qualifying. Before we get to the championship standings, I'd like to remind you the Weekend Warrior Series is brought to you by SimStickers. Whether it's button boxes, steering wheels, or keyboards, they have you covered. And now, if you use the promo code GSRC10 when purchasing, you can get 10% off of all orders for the whole season. You can find out more by going to simstickers.co.uk. Now with that, let's find out who's sticking to the championship pylon early on in the season. Let's take a look at your Spec 1 championship standings, where it is Mauricio Naselli that is on the top of the board by 50 points. Michael Dobek is in second with Tim van der Mullen in third. Antonio Reese is in fourth with Larry McLeod rounding out the top 5 for Spec 1 today. Ryan, I believe you have our Spec 2 championship standings as well.
Absolutely, yeah. The Spec 2 class championship's been real close at the moment, and we're only about 5 rounds into the season. But at the moment, it's been led by, surprisingly, or not surprising in my case, Aaron Vegley, who's been pretty consistent this season, and he's been rewarded with that consistency with leading the championship, with Erwin Watkins in second, 26 points further back. But Tom Gradwell, surprisingly I should say, has been there and thereabouts in the top 3. And then joint third with Kenneth Bately as well. And rounding out the top 4 in that championship is Gary Walbolt.
Some very competitive drivers at the top of the Spec 2 standings. The cutoff, 3,000 iRacing at the start of the campaign. Below that mark, you're in Spec 2. Above that mark, Spec 1. Depends on performance, though, to be able to move up divisions to Spec 1 in the season. But as the seasoned veteran of this series, why don't you talk about the race details for today, Ryan, for what should be a fun race?
Absolutely. So the race details for today, as always, is round 5 of 12, like already mentioned. And the setups for this series, as always, are open setups, but you cannot change the fuel, and fuel is limited to 35%, so you will have to make a mandatory pit stop. And then the race length is 40 minutes, with the point drossing out from 100 down to 25. And the incident points is -3 for each 10 off tracks or 10 incidents. And as always, you get a fast repair. So if you have a big incident, big crash, or hit the wall, anything like that, you get a fast repair and you get a new car.
Yes, indeed you do. These drivers, though, have about 8 minutes or so to go in qualifying, should rather say, to try and set the best lap times they can. Currently, the weather conditions, partly cloudy skies, 72 degrees Fahrenheit, air temp, and the track temp is at 78 degrees at the moment. Keep in note as well of the winds. Currently, they're gusting around 5 miles an hour to the east. That's currently a headwind for the front straightaway. Humidity also at 35%. Your thoughts on the weather conditions today?
Yeah, I think the weather conditions is going to play a big factor in this race. The track temperature, like you see at the moment, is 78 degrees, but the air temperature as well, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't think the tyres will be taking that much of a punishment like they have in previous races this season so far. So yeah, I think today it's all going to be about just the general pace and also the pit stops and who can also get the track position in the early stages of this race.
The driver you're following along with is on top of the qualifying pile, and on the left side of your screen, that's Jonathan Madden. Coming back in the past couple weeks, has ran just 4 official races in the Spec Racer Ford, or in general on the iRacing service. In the past 2 years, made his return back, and now he's in the lead for the pole by about 0.2 of a second. Other drivers are trying to gain time here, and slipstream can be very important. You talked about it a little bit when we started this broadcast. Slipstream and qualifying with these cars can be vastly important.
Absolutely, especially in qualifying. If you can get behind another car or get the slipstream from one other car, it can help massively. Maybe try and qualify you up at the front or towards the end, the front of the pack. And at the moment, qualifying, like you mentioned, is being led by Jonathan Madden, but the surprise man for me is Michael Dobek in second, and ahead of the current champion, David Gaspers.
Yeah, currently those drivers separate by about 0.3 of a second at the top of the pylon as you follow along with some of the drivers trying to stretch their times up the board. The 01 machine, though, sticks pretty firm around the 22nd position on the board. Already, just about every single car except for Samuel Dick and Arv Spenny to put in times. 50 competitors have made their way to this racetrack. Speaking of racetrack, what are some of the challenging points you think these cars are going to have today?
It's a bit of a difficult question, but there's some tracks that these cars are going to have to be, or these drivers are going to have to be very careful due to the nature of the car. I think the corners these guys are going to have to be careful through the Maggots and Beckett section, the twisty section after turn 1, just because of the stiffly set up nature of these cars. It makes it very, very, very feisty and unpredictable at times, and yeah, these guys are going to have to be very careful.
What is something these drivers, in your opinion, though, with these cars have to deal with here that they might not have to deal with at any other circuit, in your opinion?
I think because of this track and also the slipstream nature of this track as well, these guys are going to have to be very, maybe think a lot more, maybe not try and battle straight away, maybe try and settle into position, and they think of the long game and also think about the strategy they want to use. Maybe some drivers will try and go as long as possible. Other drivers might try and try a different pit stop strategy, like we've seen in the past or seen last week. We've seen Michael Shaw use the Stevie Ray pit stop strategy, and it seemed to pay off with him finishing in P6.
Following along rather, we should say, with Reese. He's the car who was leading the group. The driver who just went off the grass was the man he was helping this entire qualifying run, and Jerry McAreevy, who moved up 3 positions in the slipstream of this white and pink machine. You mentioned the importance of drafting partners. It was just seen on the pylon. Some of the other drivers, though, they're currently in isolation mode in terms of positioning, with no one around them to draft off of, such as this 222 machine. At this point, what's kind of the focus if you were basically on your own in qualifying, knowing you might be down in track position, in traffic, early?
From my experience of racing in the series and with this car, I think if you can't get a slipstream off someone, especially around this track, you're kind of in no man's land in a way, and you'll be towards the back of the pack. So yeah, these guys in qualifying as well, they have to think about how they're going to approach qualifying. Do you want to try and get a slipstream off someone, or is it just basically set a lap and see where you end up qualifying and just see how it pans out in the race?
Taking a look at a massive drafting train, Rockrin's among some of these drivers. He is up to 4th position at the moment. However, was about 4/10 off his quickest time. His quickest time at 2:770. Quickest top of the board still from Madden, who is also quickest in practice. Caspers is also in this group, still in the 20.7s at the moment, while Bob Kern is chugging along in his yellow and blue machine. Under 3 minutes to go in qualifying here, about a lap and a half to 2 laps for these competitors, give or take, to get around the racetrack. Who are some of the drivers we should keep an eye on today with this type of race, Ryan?
Obviously, the pole man at the moment, Jonathan Madden, you've got him to look out for. Also, like I mentioned, you've got Michael Dobeck and then David Gaspers, Rotkranz, Naselli, Jurasek, also the likes of Jason Perry and Larry McLeod, and also Daniel Sadro in 11th place.
Jason Perry, one of the quickest drivers in practice in the 97. Currently trying to string along a drafting train of drivers. See how Perry does on this lap. It's a 7 total attempt. Might have clipped the grass though, and there's a lot of chances of potential off tracks here with how much grass there is. There were a few drivers in practice who were overrunning the corners to the point they were off across the grass into secondary pavement runoff areas in some sections of this course. Both those drivers clipped the grass this time.
Yeah, this track, it's really easy to get an off track, and also you got to remember as well with the grass, since the updates that iRacing have brought out, the grass is a lot more slippy. So if these guys take too much grass on the outside or in any of these corners, it could possibly lose grip and loop these guys into the wall.
Yeah, or bobble their way for massive corner cuts. While Wobolt says hello to the Armco barrier, that can also potentially happen since grass does not have traction for obvious reasons. It is not Velcro.
Absolutely not. As Felix Samoas is coming round to complete his qualifying lap, and this will be the last chance for some of these drivers to improve their lap time or set a lap time. So most of these guys are out on track at the moment. This will be their last chance.
Taking a look now at the 41, currently in 10th position, and has a 2:01 flat as his best time. That was coming across the stripe. Decent track position. Currently out of the top drivers, all but 2 of them are a part of the Spec 1 field. For those tuning in for the first time to SRF Weekend Warriors action, any driver with a number below 200 is a part of Spec 1. Any driver with the number above 200 in terms of car number is a part of the Spec 2 field. The 51 machine, looking to bump his way up. 12th position though, currently off by about a couple tenths of a second last time by. As the final minute sounds, anyone that's on their final lap will have under 3 minutes to complete their current way around the circuit. and then qualifying will be over. So mostly everybody has put in qualifying times for what is looking to be a very big field.
Absolutely, as Kenneth Bailey dives into the pits now and abandons that lap, so does Jason Perry. So yeah, those guys are pretty happy with the qualified. As Chris Marikami's coming across the line now, and it doesn't look like he's going to improve. But yep, everyone's coming across the line now, and a few moments time that'll be the end of qualifying, and shortly we'll take you through the grid.
Indeed. Some of these drivers seen a fall of up to half a second throughout the qualifying session, such as Matt and Brian Short electing to take his final attempt around the racetrack. He'll lead a long train of drivers. We're talking 15-20 drivers across the stripe. Neil Orza in the 99 machine now follows on through. Many others also following suit. Others are stopping just right across the finishing line. Stevie Ray, he's been putting tons of work in the community lately. He's trying to get a decent time up on the pylon. 17th, though, is where he'll stick in the 11 while others still aboard. Very competitive qualifying session, though, I'd have to say, Ryan, in terms of pace.
Indeed, yeah, the Weekend Warriors is always really close, and it's always competitive. As looking at some of the times from first place down to 20th, it's just about around about the 1 second mark. So yeah, these lap times are really close.
Last of the cars making their way across. They still have about 1 minute and 10 seconds. Simon Mayer coming across the stripe is deep in the field. Does have a bit of damage though on his machine. Here comes the 01 machine. We've seen him just take the white flag and or checker flag in the final seconds of qualifying in the 01. Currently just one of 2 drivers yet to come across the stripe and park their cars into the paddock to finish qualifying for the next 45 seconds of action. The other is Rees, who is currently about 4 or 5 corners behind. Chris Murakami coming across to the final corner. Will he aboard his lap? Yes, he will. He's coming to the pit lane. So that just Rees as the only car left. There may be enough time for these 7 to put in time. Habcon confirmation, he has indeed taken the checker, meaning everyone is done qualifying. Time about to wrap up for the session. Ryan, your expectations for this race? With that, let's go to the grid for today's action here for the SRF Weekend Warriors as the final seconds tick down. Jonathan Madden ends up on top of the pylon of a massive field of 40-plus drivers. Dobek comes home in second after qualifying. The top driver in Spec 2 is Felix Simons. He was also one of the quickest in practice with a 22-minute .747. David Gasper starts in 4th, with Rotkin in 5th, Nazelli in 6th, in 7th, Miroslav Jurasek in 7th, McAreevy in 8th, Perry and Haycox round out your top 10, Ryan.
Starting 11th is Gorka, Ucharet, 12th is Larry McLeod, 13th is Daniel Sadro, 14th is Ed Doherty. Nico Shook qualifies in 15th with Stephen Elson alongside him in 16th. Stevie Wraith qualifies in 17th, 18th is Antonio Rees, 19th is Elmer Orza, and rounding out the top 20 is Adam Bradshaw. Tim
Van Dormalen, I should rather say, 21st. Hugh Haycox in 22nd. Simon Mayer 23rd. Eric Hammy in 24th. Michael Shaw in 25th. Bentley in 26th. Dominic Bureau in 27th. 28th is Sergio Dorelli with Brian Short, along with Yuansi Yi Lin in 30th.
Yep, Kurt Nernez qualifies in 31st. 32nd is William Ferry. 33rd is Bob Kern. 34th is Dan Babbitt. 35th is Tom Gradwell. 36th is Greg Stefani. 37th is Paul Jackson. And 38th is RV Svennen. 39th is Jim McGill, the Honey Monster. And 40th is Paulo Graham.
Gary Warble deep in the field today in 41st position, a 202.761 in qualifying. Trip Smith will start alongside him 42nd. Jeff Jacobson is in 43rd, Pauline 44th, Jeff Cantor 45th, then Vaguely starts in 46th position. He did not put in a practice time in the session. Frank Ladowski starts 27th. Bianco in 48th, then Mats Sajopoulos in 49th, then Samuel Dick and Mark Puffin round out the 51 total drivers who have brought their cars to the grid for round number 5 of this season's action in the SRF Weekend Warriors. Now, to repeat the question prior to the grid, your expectations for this race today?
I think this race is going to be about just taking it, well, not taking it easy, but just playing the thinking game in the early stages and just being careful and just settling down into position, especially through this twisted section that they're coming up to now. These drivers are going to have to be very, very careful and not take any risks. I think there could be a few surprises being sprung today as well. Michael Dobek, a few weeks back at Donington Park, he finished on the podium after a great drive. And Hugh Haycox took his first win in the series as well at that round. So those couple of drivers could spring a surprise. But like I say, these drivers are going to have to be very careful and just think about how they're going to go about it.
I want to bring up the track conditions once again because these are dynamically changing as the sessions go on. It's a dynamic sky for this series, constant weather conditions and partly cloudy skies. However, that track temperature already fluctuating. It's gone up from the last time we checked it. It went up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit just prior to showing that down to 79. That's how much this track potentially changed in the span of 40 minutes. How do you feel the drivers are going to handle the track catching up, and as the rubber plants down, how they're going to deal with the overall feeling of the circuit?
I think the drivers, the track temperature fluctuating and going up, and I think these drivers are going to have to, in a way, look after the tyres as well, not be too aggressive on the tyres. With it being a 40-minute race as well, these drivers will probably have to look after them. And there's a lot of things for these drivers to think about. So it's just about how do the drivers go about it? Do they go aggressive really early, or do they try and just take it easy and look after the tyres and at the start?
Still about a few more corners for these drivers to go through before they get the green flag here. We already talked about Jonathan Madden and some of his success. Of course, coming away with the max points day in the last round. Who else do you feel we should watch in the early going into this race?
Yeah, I'm just looking further back down in the park as well. But it's a good question. I think the driver to look out for possibly could be Miroslav Jurasek. He's normally one of the drivers it's worth keeping an eye on. But also you've got the likes of Daniel Sadler as well down in P13, which is a bit unusual for him. But he's normally the driver that makes places up during the race as it goes on. But as come round the final few corners, we'll be getting underway soon.
Drivers making their way around left field and heading towards Woodcote as the safety car makes its way through the grass into the pit lane. Jonathan Madden brings them to the green flag. Engines in full bloom. We're underway from Silverstone.
Yep, as they come up to turn 1, and it looks like everyone's being sensible at the moment. Turn 1, and Jonathan Madden's in the lead into turn 1, and at the moment it looks like most of these drivers have been very sensible, as David Gasser runs a bit wide on the exit of turn 1, but he gets away with it. So as they come up to Magazine Beggett, it looks like everyone's been sensible at the moment.
Everyone's sorting themselves out single file for the most part. They're double file about 15th, 16th on back. But many of the leaders already getting into a good rhythm. Madden with a good start. Dobek in second. Simone's in third. Gaspers and Rotkrins round out the top 5 in the early going where they started this race. Just take a look though with the slipstream effect. Some drivers are already taking peaks. You see right now Ian Haycox getting passed along. McAreevy able to snap left as he goes sharp off the racetrack. Loses control in Stone.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to McAreevy there, if he had contact with Ian Haycox or not, but it looks like, someone's off in the background as well, as couple of drivers are making mistakes already, so everyone's starting to battle it out.
Dan Babick was the other driver you seen in the backdrop going off. The rest of the leaders, though, in nice calm control. Gaspers trying to go up to second. already made the pass on Simone in the past few moments. He'll make a pass heading through Priory as they head through to Brooklands. Here's the time for third. Domek's forced to play defense. Simone really bounces around, holds onto his blue and white race car as they fight now behind number 4.
Yeah, David Gasper's not messing around and already up into second place, but closely followed by his fellow German Michael Dobek in third place. And always the triple two car, I should say, of Kenny Batley has had issues, and it looks like he's been spun around.
Couple drivers with some early trouble in this race. Remember, they do have a fast repair available. However, the potential of an early stop may put you behind the 8 ball. Everyone fighting, meanwhile, to get themselves some positions. This is a scrap hard right behind for 4th. Simone still leading this group. Then you have Eurosec currently in 5th. Then Grotkrins has dropped down to 6th. Jason Perry, along with Nazelli, in this train of machines, all covered under a blanket. You can see down the Hainer Straight, though, how much the slipstream can come into play with these SRF machines.
Yep, and yeah, this line of cars is really close together. They're all, it's proving my theory that the slipstream around Silverstone on the straight but comes into effect, and it looks like Jason Perry's making a move up the inside of Rockkrans and up into P6 for Jason Perry, and just in front of him is Miroslav Jurisic.
So many drivers are taking this section of the racetrack club very differently than the others. Some of them are being careful on the gas, it seems. Others are going really quick in this section. The problem is, though, the more these cars fight, the more they lose. The top 3 already more than a second lost. And the battle for 4th on back, side by side is P4. As there goes Eurosec making the move on the right side of the racetrack, heading down the farm straight under the bridge, and now back to Priory towards Brooklands to try and run away.
And just in the background, Maurizio Naselli was making a move on Rockkrins as well, up to P7 for Maurizio Naselli. But yeah, it'd be interesting to take a look at the start of the race and the replay of Jerry McAreevy to see what happened to him.
Yes, indeed. Let's try and take a look at the GSRC replay, if we can, to see what happened. Remember, he started early up at the front of the field. He's now a -27 on the race. This is why. And he was the first driver to make a move down the Hainer Straight in the lead pack.
Yeah, just look at the replay of Jerry to see what happened. It looks like he's got a run on Ian Haycox, and he goes to make a move up the inside. And it looks like, was it contact? No, he just lost it. Just lost it by himself. He lost the rear end and around she went.
What would cause a situation like that? Or a situation like this, that's Simon Mayer, that has lost a lot of time. Another car already off towards the ending. Way off the track, that's Gradwell. Onto the right side, Armco barrier. Let's take a look at this. This was right around where McAreevy was just moments ago.
Yeah, just look at what's in the replay as well to see what happened. And
let's take a look at the incident. You can see this is the yellow and green machine, and then there's a second car around there that goes right around him.
Yeah, and this looks like Gradwell tried to get going again, and this bounced over the bump on the outside of the corner, and yeah, that was like watching the bouncy castle. It's the only way I can think of.
This is what happened to Gradwell, the Australia and New Zealand region driver on iRacing, and wow. Looked like he was going to go wide, and then he realized there was going to be a car there.
Yeah, it looks like Gradwell just turned in and understeered wide, and unfortunately, he seen Mayer in front of him and had to dodge him and take avoiding accident. But a good avoiding accident by Gradwell managed to. That was perfectly avoided.
Top 3, meanwhile, have ran away and then some from the rest of the field by more than 3 seconds. In this group, it is Madden leading them. Gasper's in second. Then you have Dobek in third. None of these drivers have really fought since lap 1, and they have been able to outpace the field by from a tenth to a full second quicker, depending on how the battles are shaped out. Gasper's, though, trying to take a gasp about the inside, going through Maggots and Beckett's instead. He has to keep inside single file, really trying to push hard into Maggots that time.
Yeah, I was watching Gasper as well. He took amazingly loads of speed through that the entry of that twisty section, and I managed to close right up on Madden. And behind these guys as well, Michael Dobeck is just keeping Watson brief.
Spec 2 class leader now makes another move for 4th position. And Simone is really looking impressive today. Yes, he's right now scrapping a lot and having to play defense a lot, but shown good pace. Jason Perry loses a couple positions in the process of the pass as they make their way through club once again. That blue and white machine is not afraid to push for positions. Neither has been Jason Perry.
Yeah, absolutely. Samoa's is a P4 at the moment, but he's being hounded by Urasek, Perry, and Rocktrans as well. And in the background, Maurizio Naselli is under attack from Ian Haycox as the battle for the lead's going on at the moment, and I think we've got a change.
Madden playing defense. Gaspers trying to take it the long way around Brooklands. The one machine, though, much wider corner exit. Madden with the preferred line as they go through left field once again. Madden's really holding on, trying to keep the clean air up in front, coming to 16 estimated laps to go, and still under 32 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, it looks like, from where I'm watching, it looks like David Gasper seems to be the quicker man at the moment, and it's just a matter of trying to get by Jonathan Madden, but he has to keep an eye on his mudders as well, because Michael Dobeck is sitting there in 3rd place, and yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before Gasper gets by and maybe possibly pulls away. But behind these guys, you've got Samoa's under attack from Urasek, Perry, and Rocktrans as well. And I think Maurizio Naselli's lost the position.
Taking a look at that train once again. Simone still holding on. Bit dicey still. To the left, the rights, and the lefts and rights of Maggots, Beckett's all the way to the Chapel curve right here. Here comes the better run, though, for everybody behind. Perry watches as the 84 ducks to the right side again for position. Urasek has been trying hard to make this move, all while Gaspers has been working hard to take away the lead like this. Madden falls to 2nd for the first time this race. It's not done yet. Here they come down the Val into club side by side.
Yeah, they're coming into the corner side by side, and but Gaspers will have the inside line for the right-hander, and but fair play to Madden, he's not giving up, he's holding it on the outside, and if he can keep keeping the inside for this corner coming up, he could retake the lead, but Dobeck just trying to get in the action as well.
Madden retakes the race lead. Gaspers forced to lift off the throttle. Really getting exciting for this group of drivers. They lost a couple tenths of a second last time because of how hard they've been fighting. Dobeck, meanwhile, is just sitting here and watching the show, kind of in the popcorn seat in the 42.
Absolutely. I think if I was Dobeck, I would maybe just sit behind these two guys and maybe just try a bit of fuel saving, just stick in that slipstream, and also try some lifting and coasting, try and save some fuel before the pit stops. As it's not always a bad thing being there just sitting and watching.
You may notice that little red circle as well in the left rear. I think it has the perfect metaphor to talk about the situation, especially early on. Don't panic. Dobeck is not panicking in this grouping. We've had a pit stop though. Stevie Ray has had to come down to the lane, was in the top half of the field, so Ray is in. This is apparently a normal stop with the undercut.
Yeah, but we're used to seeing this with Ray pitting early, but also there's been issues for Marikami. It looks like he might have had a spin or been tagged around.
He was side by side for 13 with Haycox, and both of them spun around, in fact.
And it looks like Marikami went up there. Whoa! That was... I would just say that's a racing incident, but I think Hugh Haycox could have left a bit more room for Marikami, who was as the battle for the lead's going on at the moment, and it looks like Madden is going to retake the lead.
Yes, indeed, he is coming back out of club, heading towards Abbey, though. Gaspers has been willing to nearly floor it through this section all the way down to the farm straight to bridge all race so far. Madden though with the squeeze. Gaspers though with the preferred line back through bridge. Will there be a pinch once again? Dobek watches as Madden has to take a flat entry to hold on to the race lead.
And Dobek, I thought Dobek was going to take a sneaky look up the inside, but he's just showing he's still there. And Gaspers and Madden are still scrapping amongst themselves, and I thought David was trying to pinch Madden there, but the lean beats there enough room. Michael Dobek's trying to take advantage of this and stick his nose up the inside.
14 estimated laps to go. For many of these drivers, when do you decide to pit? We already seen the pit stop for Ray. Where do you go as a driver? Because we just seen the 84 just pit, in fact. Eurosec is in.
Yeah, I think that's a scheduled pit stops by the look of it. Eurosec diving in a little bit earlier than expected. I thought he would have tried to try and go as long as possible, but as a driver myself, if I was up at the front, I would just basically try and go as long as possible and run the tank drive. Or if you're stuck in traffic, try and maybe try and do an undercut by pitting early.
Looks like the 84 might be trying the undercut. Remember, they've been fighting aggressively in that train. Fourth on back. They've fallen 6 seconds behind. Eurosec trying to gamble now as he falls down to the 30s. Most of the field has yet to pit, though. He is the highest running driver who has come down for service. Gaspers, though, still scrapping with Madden. Madden lost the lead for a second. About to take it right on back into the sweeper, back into club. If he can make it stick on the high side, he has before. Gaspers, though, gets the better run. Off towards Abbey they run once again.
And yeah, these guys are still scrapping away, and Dobek is just... Dobek's not really trying to force the issue. He's just sitting there watching, and yeah, I think he's doing the sensible thing, Michael. He's just keeping a watch and seeing what...
He hit him! Madden's around, he spins! Gaspers hit him in the back end. The 96 has stopped in the middle of the racetrack. And Gaspers falls to second while Madden finally gets going, falls all the way back to the end of the top 10. And then some.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Jonathan. He was having a great race with David. And yeah, this looks like David might have just got caught out. Maybe just Jonathan braked a little bit. Yeah, just David carried more speed and just tagged the back of him. So just a racing incident between those guys.
Gorka, Urterate in, Ian Haycock's in, McLeod in, and for obvious reasons, fast repair probably coming from Jonathan Madden. Coming at a decent time, however, lost a lot of time, at least 8+ seconds after contact with Gaspers, and that has allowed Dobek to take the lead. You've seen him cut on the left side of the track to make the pass. He leads, as we'll take a look now at that train of drivers that is now 5.3 seconds back after the craziness for third.
Yep, and there's battle for P3 at the moment going on between Samoz, Perry and Selly, and just in the background as well, Daniel Sadro up into P6 after starting in P13, and Daniel's just been having a quiet race, getting slowly through the field and up into P6 at the moment. And yeah, I wonder if Dobek and Gaspers will work together now and try and pull away, but I don't think that will happen.
Especially with the pit window already open for some drivers. Curious to see if anyone in this grouping comes down, still half a track away from finding that out. They have lost about a tenth, though, to Gaspers. Gaspers has lost a lot of time, mind you, to the back end of Dobek. Remember, that one machine has a decent amount of damage. These drivers are a little bit faster, though, than the one machine. Simone still holding on. Perry not electing to make a pass. See if they come in this time. Simone, though, nearly sent to the sand trap instead.
Oh, he just got a bit sideways as he touched the grass. And yeah, worth a mention as well that Jerry McAreedy is making terrific progress back through the field after his early issues on lap 1, up into P11 at the moment. And yeah, if he finishes in the top 10 at this rate, it'll be a brilliant recovery drive.
He's one of the quickest cars on the track, mind you. Gaspers did come in this time, should note, though. So did Simone. And this shouldn't be a surprise because the damage, take a look at how much the front may look a bit crumpled up from your view here. You can tell that that car was hurting aerodynamically a little bit because of all of those scruffs.
Absolutely, and also if these Spec Racing Fords, if you get a slight bit of damage on them with regards to the aerodynamics, it'll hamper you in a straight line.
Exactly, and that was hurting him significantly. Gasper's off and away, 12.5 seconds in the pit stalls. How he cycle out compared to Eurosec, though, he will come out in front of him by about a couple seconds. Simone, meanwhile, will come out a decent little bit behind Eurosec, in fact. Eurosec is now net second out of the drivers who have hit. Iterate is in net third position. Simone is net fourth. About half the field has now ducked down for at least their scheduled pit stop.
And the question is, what does Michael Dobek do? Does he come into the pits at the end of this lap in reply to David Gaspers, or does he try and go try and go as long as possible? If I was Michael Dobek, I would maybe try and pit at the end of this lap and try and maintain the position in front of David Gaspers.
See if that will come in. Mind you, by the way, some of the other drivers to keep in mind, one of the Spec 2 drivers, and Rockrins, rather, I should say, is currently in the class lead for that. You see him 5th on your timing pylon at the moment, 13 seconds back of the race leader. He was a part of that lead group at one point until that damage popped up on the race car from some of the incidents we have seen on the screen of the 969. That is affecting him a little bit before his scheduled stop.
Yep, the Rotkrins, it looks like he might have just got hit big time up the rear. It's Michael Dobek crosses the line and decides to go for another lap. So it looks like Dobek is trying to go as long as possible and stretch out that fuel.
Lynn and McAreevy have ducked down this time by from 10th and 11th position on the racetrack. So there's their scheduled service. Hugh Haycox was able to really charge his pit entry as well to drop up to them despite significant right side damage from the door-to-door contact we've seen about 3-4 circuits ago. So at the moment, out of the race lead cars, the top 11 have yet to pit on the circuit.
Yep, so it looks like everyone that's basically at the front at the moment is not pitted and decided to do the long game strategy and just stretch the fuel out. And I think if I was Dobek, I would have pitted right now and replied to David Gaspers to try and maintain that chart position, because at the moment we know what David Gaspers is like. In clear air, he'll be trying to go as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, and mind you, Gaspers is 0.8 of a second ahead of the next car for position net. The train for second, meanwhile, is still following along with Jason Perry leading this grouping. They've actually gained a bit of time after what happened to the rest of the lead group. They've gained about a second or so in the past 5-6 circuits around the racetrack as well with the pit window, so they're closing just slowly but surely, this group, and have actually picked up a strangler, so to speak, the 51 of Sadro.
Yep, Daniel Sadro just been up to P4 now, and he doesn't seem to do that well in qualifying for some reason, but in the race he seems to get it together, and seems always been consistent. Jason Perry runs a little bit wide and manages to get it hooked back up, and will these guys dive into the pits or go around for another lap? Because it looks like nope, none of them pit.
So these drivers going all the way until the tank is empty, it appears. Top 4 stayed out. So did 5th position in Rotkrins as well. There is a secondary train of 3 drivers, should note. That is currently 7th, 8th, should say 6th, 7th, and 8th as well on the circuit. Taking a look at those drivers. Tim Van Dermelen currently leading that group in the orange and blue Simcube machine. Then you have the white and blue Dorelli. Then you have Ed Dorothy in this grouping. One thing to note with the 94, he's had some interesting moments in that last car in this grouping and a bit of aero damage on the race car and bodywork damage. At one point, went sliding off into the grass and missed a whole entire corner, was able to keep the car going because of runoff space, and now he's running off into the grass in the backdrop of the R2.
Yeah,
In fact, he's in the grass hard. 94's around. Well, there goes the recovery a little bit there. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, it looks like Doherty might have just got the offline or maybe pushed it hard. The rider on board at the moment, and they clips a bit of the curb, gets sideways, and then gets it hooked back up. And on the exit, he goes onto the grass, which is slippy, and just loses it. Tries to gather it back up, and yeah, nothing he could do. He was just a passenger from there on in.
Doherty falls right into the middle of the pit stop driving sequence members now after that spin. And he still has yet to pit, mind you. The net hit leader is David Gaspers, though, who is also making the move in front of Brian Short. Curious to see if anyone ducks down again this time. They have an estimated 9 to go this time by. Top 4 all stayed out. The train still trying to close up ground. The gap is 30 seconds. The net pit distance for these drivers, Ryan, though, keep in mind, up to 36 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. And David Gaspers getting held up slightly by Aaron Vagley, and Gaspers has been held up in traffic. This is not good for him. He needs to try and clear these guys as quickly as possible before Dolbeck and some of the other guys up at the front make their pit stop. So, and it looks like Brian Short is diving into the pits.
Brian Short, one of the Spec 2 drivers, down into the pit lane. Currently, the top driver who has hit in the Spec field is Simone Still in 15th overall position. While everyone mows the grass, will Gaspers be able to make his way around Vagley? Vagley, the points leader in Spec 2 in the 247, still has to yet take service with back-end damage. Still holding up David Gaspers. Still, Gaspers has not been able to charge his way by. Might be able to this time down the Hayter Straight.
Absolutely, as David Gaspers gets a run on the exit, and it looks like he's got the slipstream in Vagley, and I don't think Vagley will fight him too much with him having to still make his pit stop. And also in the background as well, we've got the other Spec 2 drivers as well, but you can see, as Vagley blinks out a little bit for me, and the Dominic Bureau in the Spec 2 class as well is not that far behind.
And remember, Dominic Bureau is on the same pit cycle sequence where they still have to come in for service, and that would potentially be valuable points on the table going on the line for some of these competitors. Still, Gaspers is finally in clear space. However, stayed firm about 30.1 seconds behind or so while being held up in traffic. While everybody else is in the same situation who's already had pit service, that 84 has to get by Doherty still, for example.
Absolutely, as Michael Dolbeck comes across the line again to complete another lap, so it looks like Dolbeck is just going to try and run the tank dry. But as someone else is in the pit save, Jason Perry's in the pit stops for his pit stop.
Yes, indeed. Yes, he is in the pit lane. And it looks like Doherty had a problem and comes out right next to Madden. So more trouble for that green machine today. Had gotten it up to 10th, and looks like he's going to take a service in the 94 machine. Reason he had the trouble, left side damage, you might have noticed. He got a little help from the 84 heading through Brooklands and got spun around in the middle of the corner. That now draws the 94 in the pits, while the 97 comes out of the pits in Perry.
Yep, and it looks like Perry might just get... he might get caught up in a bunch of traffic. Will he get ahead of Ian Haycox? It doesn't look like it, and he has to tuck him behind.
Most of the drivers in this train have come down to the pit lane except for Bureau. Bureau is actually going to let by Perry, knowing the sequence. So Bureau still having yet to come down. Everybody else in the train of drivers having to still not are able to make it to the end. In the backdrop, though, that was Bureau going off the circuit in the 208. Take a look, though, as the battle, though, for Miracek trying to make a move. Forced instead to the grass. And
it looks like Uracek's got lots of damage as well, and it might be affecting his straight line speed. But behind Uracek as well, we've got Ian Haycox, and yeah, he's under big pressure.
Remember, he was the one who hit the 94 machine, and Doherty just about a lap ago That was with the front nose, but he did spin to his left side. And Ray is for position as well. And the leader is in. Dobek is in from to the pit lane.
Yep, and this is going to be really close with him and Gaspers. It's all depends if Dobek can get his pit stop right and hit his marks. It looks like he's going to hit his marks, and yep, spot on. And it depends how. Yeah, I think Gaspers is going to get ahead of him by quite some time.
Gaspers passes by everyone in the pit lane by a significant margin. Yes, Dobek with the quicker pit stop in the quicker lane delta, but Gaspers with the quicker pace broke the toe of everyone else by 3 seconds. And now, because of how long they waited on the pit sequence, lost a lot of time. Pardon me, Dobek currently right up along with Gaspers, should say. The other driver, Nastelli, was the driver who was falling behind in the sequence.
And yeah, that was a good pit stop by Dobek. I think his pit stop was about 10.8 seconds and managed to get out in front of David Gaspers, who I thought was going to come out ahead of him. But it looks like that traffic holding Gaspers up has allowed Dobek to come out in the lead. And I think we could have a battle for the win on our hands between the two Germans.
Indeed. The gap is still about 4 seconds, should note, between the two drivers. Apologies again on that part. And hasn't this been a familiar sequence? Simone is leading the train of drivers in group number 2. And everybody and then some wants to try and lead the pack. But the more they fight, the more they'll lose time. Top 3 drivers on the pylon, still yet to pit though. It's Sadro, Rotkrins, and Dorelli. The leaders from before will get the chance. Gaspers though on the inside, side by side currently through Brooklands. Dobek trying to fight on the outside. Gaspers now up to the lead. Here comes the dive back by the 42. Dobek with the preferred line through left field retakes the lead.
Yeah, this battle for the lead is going on at the moment, and excuse me. Yeah, Dobek's not one, or he's not giving up at the moment. He's not letting David Gaspers get by that easy. And I think if I was Dobek, I would maybe just try and stick with Gaspers and try and use his slipstream to keep up with him. And but also on the other hand as well, they've got to watch out for this pack behind them. It's not that far behind.
Absolutely right now, as we take a look at some of the drivers making their way around the corners. Sadro is having amazing fuel mileage, should note. He is the only driver not to pit, but they still have to somehow make it 5 laps. It may take a miracle, potentially, for him to make it to the checkered, yes, on 1 tank, but it is doable for him to have decent track position.
Yeah, it would be pretty amazing if he did get to the end, but yeah, it's you can't really do that in this series because of the fuel tank being limited. But fair play to Dan, he's getting amazing fuel mileage and managing to stretch it out longer than anyone else. And yeah, at the moment all by himself, so that might be a good thing when it comes to the pit stops. He might be able to get his pit stop done and then come out, maybe might just be able to come out and clear air, or maybe come out round about P4 or P5.
By the way, as this is going on, the net race lead is still scrapping. Gaspers and Dobek are currently still fighting, but Dobek still falling along the draft, just about 24 seconds behind the 51 machine. Sadro, yes indeed, as we expected, does have to come down. As mentioned, would have needed a miracle to make it to the finish. Not even close, as we expected, by 5 laps. Stretch as long as he could. However, the Delta may get him a decent top half of the field finish today. Gaspers, though, still holding on for the time being, as they are now reaching a little bit of traffic. That's the 255 of Slowy Bloom. Let him on go this time, as the second group is still a decent 3 seconds behind.
As yeah, the two leaders come across the line, and Gaspers in the lead at the moment. They've gone away a little bit from Dobek, but yeah, as Sadro makes his pit stops, that'll put Gaspers and Dobek back into first and second. And at the moment, Sadro's coming out, and he's not going to be far behind these two guys. We could Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
really short stop. So that could be. I'm not sure if he took if he didn't put enough fuel on, but if they're on for a freeway scrap for the win, then this is going to be a great drive from Sadro.
That was a lot less time than I think both of us expected. Just 8.8 seconds in the pit box in fuel. 31.1 seconds the pit delta, including the time in the lane. That is going to be a curious question if he'll be able to make it to the end. Or he has to have enough fuel for to make it about 4.5 more circuits estimated in the next 8 minutes. Make it now a 3-car scrap for the lead because of that, while everyone else scraps behind.
Yep, and yeah, these guys have to watch as well. They don't scrap amongst themselves too much at the moment because looking behind them, they've got Samoa's, Urasek, Utrecht, and Haycock's, and a few other cars closing them down slowly. So yeah, this pack could be building up quite soon.
It's a possibility with them still separated from the lead to the head of the group by 2.7 seconds. Currently, they make their way underneath the bridge. But the leaders try and slide. A bit of a slide behind. There goes the 84. Urasek hitting the wall. Has to get it back off and going. Off and away he goes. He did not use his fast repair, mind you remember, with the early stop, so he's having to deal with the damaged car in the first place. Now he's lost the track position.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
And trouble up in front of them.
Off.
Gaspers ended up getting hit. Gaspers slid around through the field, snapped across the 42, and a hit happened between second and third. So Sadro, Dolbeck, and Gaspers now with significant damage after the one mistake Gaspers has made all race comes in here.
And it was like I said before, these guys can't afford to scrap amongst themselves too much because there's a pack closing them down, and it looks like Gaspers gets sideways. And Dolbeck's done so well to avoid Gaspers, but gets tagged a little bit by Sadro from the rear.
Remember the saying, don't panic on the back of Dolbeck's car? Now it's the time to panic because the Spec 2 leader in the race is now the overall leader. Simone now leads the race after having a stellar run in the second pack. Now he looks to hold on for the next 6 minutes. Dolbeck's still in the trap, but everybody else is still 1.5 seconds behind, with Ian Haycox leading the second group.
And it's like I said before, Justin, these guys can't scrap amongst themselves too much, but that incident, what it has done is it started to slowly or close this pack up and bunch them up a little bit. And you know what, if you've got a battle like this for the win going down in the final 5 minutes, then bring it on.
Get your pom-poms up. This could be a crazy finish. Simone looking to try and hold on still. Dolbeck losing time with the major rear end damage. Haycox and Iterate are basically dealing with somewhat clean race cars behind them. Then you have Gaspers with significant back end damage. Nastelli currently has a clean race car as the class points leader for Spec 1. And then the next car back for the Spec 2 drivers is all the way back in 19th position, by the way. Antonio Reese is holding on to that spot for comparison's sake on the pylon. Check that, Rockrins has been able to get to 18th position with this pit stop sequence.
And yep, and this battle up at the front as well, Michael Dolbeck's falling back a little bit to 7/10 of a second behind Samoa's, and Ian Haycock's up in the top 3 as well. And it all seems to happen this season so far, that everything just seems to settle down that halfway through the race, and it all kicks off in the closing stages. And at the moment I'm watching Michael Dolbeck, and he doesn't seem to have an answer for the leader, Samoa's.
Iterate still holding on to the drafting group now as the gap has closed. It was as much as 5 seconds between the lead pack at one point. Things can change in the blink of an eye. We've seen how much it changed with the pit stop sequence and the incidents. And now, 2.5 estimated laps to go, and Haycox is around. Ian Haycox, too strong to the corner, is off into the grass.
Yep, it looks like he might have just lost it on that bump, like Jerry McAreevy did, and just couldn't do anything about it, and around he went. That was unfortunate for him because he was having a great run in third place, and Mamma mia, it's all kicking off.
Craziness has ensued in this event. David Gaspers, though, even with the big-time damage, is trying to make a move on a driver with similar damage. At a rate, really revving around the engine in the 41 on the inside line. Gaspers trying to go for the cutback, heading towards Brooklands, can't do so. So these drivers continue to scrap out. All well, Simone is trying to wave goodbye from these drivers. He's now 1.4 seconds ahead of Dobek.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, Dobek is that damage on the rear seems to be hindering him a little bit. And at the moment, the leader is pulled away and built up a gap to about 1.6 seconds. And this pack behind him, or this pack behind Dobek rather, is starting to close on him. Yeah, we've got 2 laps remaining.
2 laps estimated to go for these drivers as they clip to the grass. As Naselli currently one of the cleanest cars on the track. Have to say that 44 machine has had a quiet day in the top 5, but he's in the right place at the right time, so to speak, in this race.
Absolutely, and this pack is closed right up in Dobek now, and this pack behind him is Ucheret, Gaspers, Naselli, Sadro, and I think not too far in the background is Jonathan Madden with Jason Perry as well.
At a rate, trying to make the move for second, and does. And they continue to scrap. And one thing to note, usually you see Gaspers, Naselli amongst the drivers fighting for the race win. Instead, they're currently fighting, potentially, at the very most, the second step of the podium. They have these 2 drivers made podiums together multiple times this season, twice to be precise, including last round, where it was Gaspers and Naselli in order, second and third, in week number 4 competition. Gaspers is trying to make the move on Dobek, though. He's trying to get up to 3rd spot. Major send by Gaspers.
Yeah, that was a brave move by Gaspers. He's not hanging around. And also in the background as well, you've got the championship leader, Maurizio Naselli, who's not had the best of races. It's been a bit of a strange one. And Naselli can't really afford to have off days if he wants to be fighting for this championship.
Absolutely, but it's been a picture-perfect day. You could say sky blue day coming to the white flag for Simone. He's going to get the white flag estimated this time by with 46 seconds left on the clock in closing. Everyone trying to complete this race as best as they can. They continue to scrap, though, as hard as they can. Gaspers wants to get second. Iterate wants to try and hold on, while Dobek's trying to hold on himself to a top 5.
I'm just watching Michael Dobek as well. I don't know if he's trying to fuel save or not, or if it's just that damage, but he's starting to fall back a little bit, and riding on board with Ucheret as well, under pressure from Gaspers. And yeah, it's been a bit of an up and down race for Gaspers as well, but having a great race, and then had that incident with Dobek and Sadro.
Dobek had a snap towards the left side of the racetrack, lost 2 positions. Gaspers cuts to the left side, tries to gain second spot on the long way around through Stowe. Really drifting the back tires. The tire marks left all over the corner. Iterate still able to keep it side by side as Gaspers has the preferred line for the sweeper. Yes, he takes away second in the club.
Yep, up inside, and he takes that position up into second place. Yeah, this is a great recovery from Gaspers, doing what he needs to do, and back up at the front. Simone is coming round to the final few corners, and he will soon be taking the checkered flag.
Dorbaining still for second position. Iterate trying to slip his way for a spot. Gaspers gives him a shot. On the outside goes Naselli. Will he try and steal away a podium? The 44, one last dive for second, makes contact, then wreck for second on back. Some of the top drivers of the series in the grass, while Simone says so long, he'll celebrate in victory lane. The Spec 2 driver will take home the victory. He wins race number 5 of the SRC Weekend Warrior season.
And yeah, coming across the line in second is going to be Jonathan Madden by the looks of it. And third place is going to be, yeah, third. It's all kicking off just now.
Lots of tough battles heading towards the finish line here. Many having troubles just past it. Lots of hard-fought battles. Congratulations again to the SRF winner today in Simone. Spec 2 comes out on top. All of that allowed Jonathan Madden to be the top Spec 1 driver. And all of this quietly seen Rockrins get the second step of the podium for Spec 2, while P24 in the midst of a scrap for just outside the Spec 2 podium for some. And for others, valuable points for Spec 1 across the stripe goes those drivers. Kern and Batley holding on amongst those drivers. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay to see what happened in this final sequence, because this might have points ramifications. Many drivers fell from the podium to the back half of the top 10 from this.
Just watching the replay now, and it looks like Gaspers and yeah, he was getting a bit argy-bargy and tried to do the cutback, and it looks like Naselli tried to take advantage around the outside. And yeah, Naselli tries to go for the position and goes for an optimistic move, I must say, and just tags the back.
Taking our look here. This is the 51 machine. Remember, Sadro got in a great position with the undercut, dropped a couple positions. Well, this is a way to get a podium, is it not? Strategy worked out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just sitting there watching these guys with his popcorn and just watching these guys go at it, and he's like, yeah, you guys go ahead and just take it sort out, and I'll just sneak up the inside and gain a position, as he just about went off into the gravel with then and sympathy, but managed to. And you look at the replay, had a good race to the line with Jonathan Madden as well, with Dobek and Perry behind, and yeah, this looks like a great drag race to the line.
And this shows how well Madden had a good recovery drive and a drag race for second spot. For Madden, it's his second straight podium on the campaign. For Simone, his first podium of the season. With that post-race coverage coming up after this quick break, you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel for the SRF Weekend Warrior, sponsored by SimStickers. What a way to end things off in this race today. Welcome back to today's coverage of the SRF Weekend Warrior, sponsored by SimStickers. For Felix Simone, his first podium, let alone victory of the campaign, comes in spectacular fashion. A crash with the leaders puts him at the head of the field, Then second on back crashes as they fought for the second step of the podium. The crash led to Jonathan Madden recovering to P2 after crashing from the lead after contact sent him spinning around. Sadro went for a massive overcut and put in less fuel and snuck away with the podium in a drag race. And Fall fell to third position in the drag race result. Dolbeck held on to fourth position despite all the cars sent off in the grass, with Jason Perry, David Gaspers, and Naselli rounding out the 7th positions. Then 2 seconds back of that, 10 seconds over for the leader, Emil Orza quietly came home 8th. Iterate, probably thinking what if he was in 2nd spot, then into the grass in Brooklands before Ian Haycock rounded out the top 10.
Jerry McAreevy finishing in 11th, 12th place was Larry McLeod, with Sergio Dorelli finishing in 13th. Tim Van Dormalen finishing 14th, with Erwin Rockgrans in 15th, with the series organiser Stevie Ray in 16th. Arturo Rees finishing 17th, with Miroslav Juricek finishing in 18th, Michael Shaw in 19th, and rounding out the 20 was the Honda Monster himself, Jim McGill.
Stefani finished in 21st, Vegley in 22nd spot, Bob Corrin in 23rd position rather. He was one of the best drivers in terms of clean racing today, while Batley came home in 24th, Samuel Dick came home 25th, Bremen 26th, Bureau at one point was in the lead pack before crashing from 27th, and then Schwalk in 28th, Fairley in 29th, Brian Short rounds out the top 30.
31st was Paul Jackson, Jeff Jacobson finished in 32nd, Gary Walbot in 33rd, 34th was Adam Bradshaw, 35th was RV Spennon, 36th was Jeff Cantor, 37th Trip Smith, 38th was Tom Gradwell, 39th Mark Coffin, and 40th was Frank Dodosti.
Howie came on 41st, and then Lynn fell to 42nd after some trouble for his race after pit stop sequence. Rakami, the first driver, 1 lap down. Then you have Schulblum in 44th, Bianco in 45th, Elson 46th, Hugh Haycock 47th. Then Doherty fell to 48th at one point, was in contention for a decent top 10 run, then had a sequence of incidents and fell down the pylon. Simon Mayer also in that situation, 7 laps down, 49. Nunez rounded out the top 50, and then Dan Babbitt rounds out the solo page in 51st position. Some exciting action to say the very least. What a way to end off this race. Drivers like Jonathan Madden, who finished in 2nd, are probably thinking, wow, what in the world happened? Jonathan, what happened from your perspective in the craziest final corners I think we've seen in a little while?
Yeah, it was pretty wild indeed. I mean, there was just a ball of cars, and I was like, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens when they get there. And sure enough, it was all a cloud of smoke, and I just said thank you very much and slipped on by. But it was a gift, you know. But that's fine. I'll take it.
First of all, what happened with that incident where that was coming out of the bridge that put you in that behind the 8 ball and about 8 seconds back of the rest of the leaders, from your opinion?
Yeah, David just got into the back of me. You know, accidents happen. It's fine. It's no big deal. So I just picked up the pieces and pitted instantly, and I had to save a bunch of gas on the way. But yeah, I just kept pushing as far as I could. And P2, I'm pretty happy with that, actually.
How would you describe the nature of the racing here at Silverstone? Because there's a lot of long straightaways. These cars have a lot of ability to slipstream. It looked like there was a lot of slipstream battling wherever you were in the field today.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's very much the nature of the car, but when you get to these big tracks, these Grand Prix tracks and stuff like that, it's like, it's really, really fun to drive because the car is like flat out pretty much all the time. But the drafting is, yeah, it's part of the series. So that's something that you just have to deal with. And, you know, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some because of the draft, but that's just the way it is.
Now, some valuable points earned today. We're off to a stellar start on the campaign since rejoining the series. Next one's at Sonoma, though, in the IRL layout. Your thoughts on going to Sonoma Raceway, where you have to deal with the carousel?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, actually. I just found out that I've never actually raced there in the SRF before, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great track. It's a technical track. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope I do well.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'll thank you guys. Thank you very much for putting on these broadcasts. You guys do a great job, and hope to talk to you soon.
Congratulations on the podium finish today. Well done, recovery drive. That was John Manning coming home in second. Third place finisher, Dan Sadro, had the ultra long strategy today. It worked out to a podium. Ryan Walker's with him.
Yeah, Dan starting in P13 and managed to claw his way back up through the field up into a podium position. But it might have looked easy, but Dan, from your perspective, it looked nothing but that.
Oh, absolutely. Silverstone is a track that it's you can get pack racing, and very early on, we had even when we got spread out, we were in a pack of 9 cars. It was just kind of insane, and then it was kind of a strategy run for me. I had a couple ideas of what I wanted to do, but the only thing I knew for sure was that I did not want to have to pit behind somebody. I didn't want to, because I didn't know where everyone else's braking point into the pits was going to be. So fortunately, basically everybody pit in front of me, and I had enough fuel to do 2 extra laps and came out right behind Gaspers and Dobek, and I thought that was going to be an easy podium, but it didn't end up being that easy.
Yeah, I mean, after your pit stop, I was kind of expecting you to be kind of further back from David and Michael, but you actually came out right behind them, and it looked like you guys you're going to be battling for, or it's going to be a freeway battle for the win. And unfortunately, it seemed to be, I think David got sideways in front of Michael, and you unfortunately tagged Michael by accident, and it kind of made you guys trip up over each other, and allowed the Samos through into the lead, and they go on to take the win. But did you think you could challenge David and Michael, or was it just a case of see where you end up and just take the points?
Oh, I was not planning when I saw how that was going, where it was the 3 of us with 2 seconds in front of Felix. I knew that we were going to be battling. I was not going to settle for third. I was going to hope for second and try for first, but and then unfortunately, David, unfortunately, he got sideways and kind of checked both of us up, and the damage I got on that accident was just a lot of aero damage, and I was so slow I could only keep up using the draft. I wasn't even able to gain with the draft, and then then when we got to that final lap, it kind of got a little crazy. I got lucky. And was able to miss the guys, but I couldn't with my aero damage. I couldn't keep second place.
Good stuff, and looking into next week. Are you looking forward to racing at Sonoma, and what's your expectations?
I like the track. I really enjoy driving the track. 40 minutes is going to be tough. I don't really have any expectations for myself, except that I'm going to do my best and see where the cards land. Great
to hear. Well, but thanks for joining us, Dan, and congratulations again on the third place finish, and we look forward to seeing you on track next week.
Well, thank you, and of course, as always, thanks to Steve for putting these on.
Great stuff. As that was Dan Sadro, the third place finisher, joining us in the booth, and have to say, Justin, that race, especially in the closing stages, was just absolutely wild.
Yeah, it was a crazy finish to this race. I don't think any of us expected that to flow the way it did in the final portion of this race. Your expectations, though, for Sonoma for the next round for the series?
Having raced there in the past and also commentated there last season, I believe I'm actually looking forward to see what the racing is like, and I think we should be in for more of the same. And as always, I enjoy commentating on the series, and it should be great racing.
Absolutely. Well, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to the SRF Weekend Warriors, as well as to thank its organizers for organizing what is a strong series and what was a crazy race today. We'd also like to thank SimStickers for being the title sponsor for this season's campaign. Once again, you can use the promo code GSRC10 when purchasing and get 10% off all orders for the whole season. Find out more by going to simstickers.co.uk. We also like to thank the companies that provide our software and hardware for broadcasted listed up on your screen now. But additional thanks to Jude Milan, who provides her wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today in Ryan and Joe. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including the upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a moment here on the Global SimRacing Channel. As talked about, the next race on the schedule is at Sonoma Raceway. That'll be at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have many upcoming series and other races coming up on the schedule, so check those out as well and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.